Roland Martin calls out Charlemagne the God for being a fraud who spreads misinformation and tried to expose him for being bought out by the Republicans because Charlemagne the God gave his take on the government being closed and kind of gave a take that was anti-Democrat. So Roland Martin tries to expose him, but it absolutely backfired once Charlemagne the God responded.
You're Democrats, do me a favor. Do not listen to people like Charlemagne the God. Okay? So Charlemagne was talking about this government shutdown, and he made a comment as relate to what Democrats should be doing. Y'all have that? Okay, play it.
You know what I don't understand, Mimi, and I don't know, maybe you can explain it to me. The health care is going to go up anyway because of the big, beautiful bill, because that didn't include the extension of the tax credits to keep the cost down. So if it's going up anyway, what's the point of Democrats taking the stand to keep the government still closed?
So you're absolutely right.
And the premiums are set for a year. So at this point, if the premiums have already gone up, if they set for a year, at least give the people some relief and get the government back open.
Do not listen to what the hell he just said. That to me is beyond idiotic because this battle that we're seeing is not solely about healthcare. Rebecca, I don't know what the hell that was. That was just bullshit.
Look, what I heard was an exchange of two people who don't understand how this works. So what they're talking about are the health insurance premiums that are in the marketplace. The marketplaces are the state exchanges. The state exchanges is because of Obamacare, aka the Affordable Care Act. Here's the thing. Those premiums are effective January 1, 2026. You get about 60 days notice in most states. Some states put out their new expected premiums back in October, some kind of at the end of September. But this is giving notice of, hey, if you continue at the level of health insurance plan that you have, this is what you're going to start to pay effective January 1. And so the erroneous, I mean, this isn't just misinformation here. This starts to like this is intentional disinformation. And for the audience, disinformation is where you have bad, misleading information that's intentionally targeted to a certain demographic. The demographic here is Black voters. The reason why is the Black voters are the base of the Democratic Party. Right now, the Democrats are in lockstep saying that, no, we're not going to give you the votes that you need in order to end this government shutdown. You Republicans need to come to us and work out a deal. And so by trying to talk to Black folks, so then Black folks can then talk to Democratic members of the House.
I'm not going to waste your time by playing the entire segment. I think Roland also came back and questioned the validity of the Breakfast Club and why people listen to them. I think like this lady right here, she even said straight up, she believed that Charlamagne the God did this on purpose. He's spreading misinformation because he's bought out. Another lady came on and she stated that, you know, that real journalists need to come back, that the people need to watch channels like theirs and not the Breakfast Club. They're just entertainment, and it's unfair that the entertainment is getting like a large portion of the audience and the audience isn't watching their platforms to get the real information, which to me is just player hating and kind of reflect the attitude of the quote unquote intellectual community. Because we've seen Angela Rye in their podcast say something very similar about the Joe Budden podcast. Don't understand why people watch them and not them. Do I agree 100% with what Charlamagne the God said? No, I do believe that both the Democrats and the Republicans have to operate with a certain level of urgency when it comes to reopen up the government. Now, obviously, we know a deal has been done. However, you know, if both sides had an urgency, it wouldn't have taken 40 days, right? This would have gotten solved a whole lot sooner. And I do believe that the efforts to reopen the government has to be bipartisan, right? To run the government has to be bipartisan. It has to be a give and take. Both sides have to give and take away something. If the Republicans are trying to run the government by themselves, they're not willing to capitulate to anything, then at some point, the Democrats do got to put their foot down and they do got to draw a hard line. Now, should that hard line come at the expense of the American people not receiving their food, not receiving SNAP? It shouldn't, which is why the owners have to be on both parties, including the Republicans, to, like you guys have to surrender or give up something. And with this new deal, it looks like the Republicans gave up nothing. And the Democrats surrendered everything, which is why people is very upset at people like Charlamagne the God and others, like John Fetterman and others who are who work towards the Democrats kind of just laying down and being ran over when you have like Trump and his people openly saying, man, we're not giving up nothing, all right? We're going to wait this out until they get tired. And the Democrats got tired and conceded, okay? But even if we have different opinions, I feel like we should be able to have those opinions respectfully without questioning the value of certain people's platforms, without questioning the value of, man, why the fans listen to him, right? It should be respectful. And Charlamagne the God felt like Roland Martin was not respectful. And he more specifically feels like Roland Martin is a hater.
But to say that I put out misinformation, that's just a fat, rotund Martin lie. Now,
I like that.
I just got a little bit more, just a little bit more.
I'm with you.
There is a reason Roland Martin wants to paint the Breakfast Club, me in particular, as a person spreading misinformation. See, I'm going to pull the curtain back a little bit, not too much because it really don't matter. I just want some of you to know people's motivation. Roland Martin is a hater. Okay, he be hating on me behind the scenes to anybody who will listen. He will say something negative about me, and it's always in regards to how I'm moving in this media space. In particular, anything in the political realm. It's always a, why does he get this? Why does he get that type of thing? Why is he on cable news? Why do politicians go sit with the Breakfast Club? Roland, I don't know. Okay, favor ain't fair, but he will do all that hating, but loves texting my phone asking to come on the Breakfast Club. Correct, Envy? Does it? Okay, just be
super correct.
Charlamagne the God begins his ether of Roland Martin fairly quickly, but for this particular take, I don't really think that this take is necessarily, I don't know, like red mark against Roland Martin. Y'all let me know like what y'all think, right? Because I do believe that if you believe a platform is spreading misinformation and is a big platform, you should want to go on that platform to, like to correct the narrative, right? Like I don't feel like him wanting to go on the platform discredits whatever he said. I do believe that that Roland Martin was hating, right? I do believe, that these intellectuals and the pseudo-intellectuals, they believe that entertainers like, let's say myself or Charlamagne the God, or people who have platforms like ours, they believe that we don't deserve our platforms and people should not listen to us or take us seriously because we're not like seasoned political industry pundits, which I'll be real, man. Like the days of like the industry people is over with, bruh. Like, people understand that when you work for a network, man, your opinion for the most part is bought out and you can only go so far. And if you go further than you're supposed to go, you usually get kicked out. And for the most part, we don't hear from you again. All right? So, yeah, bro, people want to come to the Breakfast Club. They want to come to platforms like mine because they understand this is our opinion. Now, with Charlamagne the God being under iHeart, his opinion is kind of a loose thing. Like, it's loose, but I would say for the most part, Charlamagne the God have gained enough rank to where I don't think Charlamagne the God is just completely selling himself out.
Okay, one day, a few years ago, I'm sitting at home. Roland texts me and says, hey, tonight on my show, we are going to talk about Tyler Perry and BET. At the time, it was rumors of Tyler buying BET, and the headline of the video he posted was Roland's blistering deconstruction of Paramount's idiotic failed attempt to sell BET. So I'm watching this video because he asked me to, and about 40 minutes in, one of the brothers on the panel starts bigging up Roland's Black Star Network, as he should, and then he just threw a random shot at me, which Roland tended to let people do. Let's listen.
We saw what happened to Bomani Jones at HBO or ESPN. High quality analysis. He couldn't stand. And then you see them throw something out, Comedy Central with Brother Leonard or Charlemagne, whatever he calls himself. That ain't high quality analysis.
My brother, I don't know your name, but you can big up the Black Star Network without throwing shots at what I was doing on Comedy Central at the time. You can love on Roland and big up what he does without slandering me, but whatever, if that's what you got to do to remain in rotation. Now, in that same episode, Roland had this to say about me. Mind you, he texted my phone and told me to tune in and listen.
You know what? I have not said this publicly, but I'm going to go ahead and say this.
Uh-oh.
And I would love for the current leadership of BET to prove me wrong. When we were in Atlanta covering Melanie Campbell's grassroots organizing event in Atlanta, this was, May? I ran into a sister, and she said, I'm so glad to meet you. She said, I know so much about you. And I was like, really? She says, yes. She says, after the death of George Floyd, she said, the leaders of BET came to me and said, it's time for us to do a news show. And she said, I ran the research. And she said, we did exhaustive research. We studied day parts, we studied shows, we studied other networks, we looked at radio, we looked at newspaper, we looked at podcasting. She said, we studied demographics, 18-24, 24-35, 35-44, 44-54, 55 plus. And she said, after we ran all the metrics, she said the research came back. And the number one person they said, Black America said they wanted to see host a news show on BET was you.
Roland could have stopped it here, but Roland went out of his way to let the people know that after BET did all their research, that they decided that he was who the people wanted to see and not Charlamagne the God. And I'm sure there was a lot of names on that list that Roland probably came ahead of, if it's true, by the way, because I don't know if that people want to see Roland Martin do a new show over Charlamagne the God. I don't know. But yeah, like there was probably a lot of other names on that list that he probably came up top on. But he went out of his way to point out Charlamagne the God because Roland Martin has this weird fixation with Charlamagne the God. He kind of competes with him. And it's not just Roland Martin, man. It's these intellectuals or the black intellectuals, they really have a problem with, I guess, mainstream media gravitating towards entertainers than them who they believe they are seasoned journalists who deserve to have the audience that Charlamagne and others have.
She said it was you. She said Charlamagne was on the list, and she said, and then when Comedy Central launched his show, she said they're using my research.
Well, Roland, who else was on the list? Okay, why do you have to let people know that out of all the other people who I'm sure was on the list, Charlamagne the God was on the list? Roland, I am not your competition, and I refuse to be responsible for how you feel about yourself. You accuse Breakfast Club of spreading misinformation because you are trying to discredit me and the platform I have helped to build as if that's going to amplify what you're doing. You don't have to do that, brother. You already up. You are a 56-year-old seasoned political pundit. You have a lot of respect in the space of political commentary. You are a trusted source for a lot of people, Roland. Be secure in that and stop projecting your insecurities onto me. There's a lot of things I disagree with Roland on, and even with knowing he be sneak dissing, not once until today have I ever spoken on him in a public manner, and it's never been disparaging. Not even a fat joke. And I always thought Tariq Nasheed calling him Gerald Dessert was hilarious. But Roland out here lying, accusing us of spreading misinformation, that's an intentional attack to discredit us. What if I did an intentional attack to discredit you? What if I said, could someone out there make me an AI video? Okay, I want an AI video of the Stephanie Mills challenge. And I want Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffrey singing, I never knew love like this before. And I want Roland Martin in the background of that video dancing for Democrats like he do. I'm talking boogieing for biscuits. And I want the caption to say, we told Roland Martin he can cut in line at the all-you-can-eat bussy buffet if he agreed to be our backup dancer. What if I asked people to do that for me? That would be an intentional attack. But I'm not going to do that. All I'm going to ask you to do, sir, is don't tell no lie on me, and I won't speak truth about you. Please give Roland Martin the biggest hee-haw.
Honestly, I don't think Roland Martin was expecting for Charlamagne the God to respond back to him in this way, giving him this much attention. I do think for the most part, Roland Martin was probably trying to get on the Breakfast Club, probably trying to give commentary to kind of spark a discussion so he could come on the Breakfast Club and talk to Charlamagne, but I think it ultimately backfired. If you go on social media right now, now he's getting some support, but largely is people just going off of Roland Martin and saying that Charlamagne the God destroyed him. One user says, Charla is tearing Roland Martin up. Another user says, I stopped respecting Roland Martin after he tried to diss a young man saying he's doing for self to uplift his community. A Twitter account that I'm familiar with called The Plainest Jane, they wrote, Charlamagne and Roland Martin beefing is a key. Charlamagne the God took his time politely dragging him and had the receipts lined up this morning. I don't believe that Roland Martin being envious completely discredited him, but I do believe they took it a little too far once they start going after the personality or the person itself opposed to the argument, right? Man, he's a fraud, he's bought out, he's this. That's too far, okay? And I do believe Roland Martin is probably envious of Charlamagne the God, but I don't believe that discredits what Roland Martin said, which was, hey, if you're gonna fall, if you're gonna concede and capitulate every time, you're never going to obtain any type of reasonable power, right? At some point, you gotta be willing to hold your ground, because the Republicans were willing to hold their ground no matter what. But let me know in the comment section, what do you guys think? I do believe that Charlamagne the God has been making a concerted effort to criticize Democrats just as much as he criticizes Republicans, because he has heard enough time that he's bought out, so I guess he wants to prove he's not bought out. Y'all let me know in the comment section, what do you guys think? If you enjoyed this video, then click on this video right here to find out how Charlamagne the God just made a bold move to destroy the Joe Budden podcast. If you enjoyed this video and want to learn how to make videos like this, I got a step-by-step book in my description on how to make your first $10,000 a month on YouTube and how to grow really fast using secrets that I use that nobody really knows about. Click on this video right here to find out what I'm talking about. I'm out of here, folks. Peace.